Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narotamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse 18. Vidurastad abhipretya Dhritarashtram abhashatha Rajan nirgamyatam sigram Pashyedham bhayamagatham Vidurastad abhipretya Dhritarashtram abhashatha Rajan nirgamyatam sigram Pashyedham bhayamagatham Vidurastad abhipretya Dhritarashtram abhashatha Rajan nirgamyatam sigram Pashyedham bhayamagatham Translation and purport by His divine grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Synonyms: Vidura, Mahatma Vidura. That. Abhipretya, knowing it well. Dhritarashtram, unto Dhritarashtra. Abhashatha said. Rajan, O king. Nirgamyatam, please get out immediately. Shighram, without the least delay. Pashya, just see. Idam, this. Bhayam, fear. Agatam, already arrived. Translation, please repeat after me. Mahatma Vidura knew all this. And therefore he addressed Dhritarashtra saying, My dear king, please get out of here immediately. Do not delay. Just see how fear has overtaken you. Purport.
Cruel death cares for none, be he Dhritarashtra or even Maharaja Yudhishthira. Therefore, spiritual instruction as was given to old Dhritarashtra was equally applicable to younger Maharaja Yudhishthira. As a matter of fact, everyone in the royal palace, including the king, was his brother and mother, was raptly attending the lectures. But it was known to Vidura that his instructions were specially meant for Dhritarashtra, who was too materialistic. The word Rajan is specially addressed to Dhritarashtra significantly. Dhritarashtra was the eldest son of his father, and therefore, according to law, he was to be installed on the throne of Hastinapura. But because he was blind from birth, he was disqualified from his rightful claim. But he could not forget the bereavement, and his disappointment was somewhat compensated after the death of Pandu, his younger brother. His younger brother left behind him some minor children, and Dhritarashtra became the natural guardian of them. But at heart, he wanted to become the factual king and hand the kingdom over to his own son, headed by Duryodhana. With all these imperial ambitions, Dhritarashtra wanted to become a king, and he contrived all sorts of intrigues in consultation with his brother-in-law Sakuni. But everything fell by the will of the Lord. And at the last stage, even after losing everything, men and money, he wanted to remain as king, being the eldest uncle of Maharaja Yudhishthira. Maharaja Yudhishthira, as a matter of duty, maintained Dhritarashtra in a royal honor, and Dhritarashtra was happily passing away his numbered days in the illusion of being a king or the royal uncle of King Yudhishthira. Vidura, as a saint and as the duty-bound, affectionate youngest brother of Dhritarashtra, wanted to awaken Dhritarashtra from his slumber of disease and old age. Vidura therefore sarcastically addressed Dhritarashtra as the king, which he was actually not. Everyone is the servant of eternal time, and therefore no one can be king in this material world. King means the person who can order. The celebrated English king wanted to order time and tide, but the time and tide refused to obey his order. Therefore, one is a false king in the material world, and Dhritarashtra was particularly reminded of this false position and of the factual fearful happenings which had already approached him at that time. Vidura asked him to get out immediately if he wanted to be saved from the fearful situation which was approaching him fast. He did not ask Maharaja Yudhishthira in that way because he knew that a king like Maharaja Yudhishthira is aware of all the fearful situations of this flimsy world and would take care of himself in due course, even though Vidura might not be present at the time.
Hari Om Tat Sadam Jnanati Vinandasya Jnananjana Salakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangulangayate Girimat Kripa Tamam Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Nitinamine Namo Acharya Padaya Nithaya Kripa Pradayine Gaurakata Damadaya Nagara Gramatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavade Paschatya Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudanam Mukam Karo Divachalam Pangullangai Tegiri Metkripatama Mande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhum Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So Vidura is such a wonderful devotee that he knows whom to speak, what to speak, how to speak, and when to speak. This is called perfection. A devotee only knows all these secrets. When he came, and the Pandavas and all very dear affectionate associates were very eager to hear about Krishna, he has hidden the pastimes wind-up of Krishna. The Prabhaksha Kshetra, whatever happened, that the Yadava dynasty have been completely wiped out because the Lord Krishna wanted them go back to their respective position. Their duty is completed here. and he does not want to leave them behind. So that pastime of, winding up the pastime of Krishna was not revealed to Vidura because he cannot see any sorrow in the faces of Pandavas. He is a very wonderful devotee, but still he has hidden those parts which is not very palatable, which is not giving pleasure to the devotees. He does not want to even utter that. At the same time, he is very harshly speaking to Dhritarashtra, you, what a rascaldom that you are doing, you fool, you can't even understand that you are not anymore king here. You think you are still a king? You are living at the cost of person whom you have poisoned, person whom you wanted to kill. In their mercy you are living. Are you a Kshatriya? Don't you have shame? Get out of here immediately. So very harsh words, because the devotee knows how to preach. So to Dhritarashtra, he has to speak in such a harsh way. Otherwise, it is not possible for Dhritarashtra to quit home. This is a very beautiful verse, and in the purport, Prabhupada is so beautifully telling, the cruel death cares for none, be it Dhritarashtra or Maharaja Yudhishthira. Every devotee knows that if they have taken birth here, they have to meet the death. We say as sure as death. That much 100% guaranteed. At the same time, the death is a fearful one for those non-devotees, not for the devotees. The reason is even the fear has its own death. That is why we say fear personified will fear Krishna. When devotees are there, they have Krishna, and fear does not reside in their heart. It cannot, because it is killed by Krishna. Mrityo mrityum namamyaham. So Narsingadev, we call. He gives the death blow to the death personified. Such a personality. So for a devotee, there is no fear, nor they have actually fear of death or anything, but they know the activities of the Lord and the existence of cosmic manifestations and its activity. So they don't care for that. However, people, fools and rascals, like Dhritarashtra, the non-devotees, they even at the old age is going to die, and he is, he's supposed to be in the prison, right? Because he was killing, he wanted to kill. He has poisoned the Pandavas, and they have become conquered. They killed all the sons of Dhritarashtra. They could put him in the darkest region of the jail, but they didn't. As a matter of fact, they are very kind, they are very merciful, even though the cruel father, just like Prahlad to Hiranyakashipu. So they were very kind and merciful to Dhritarashtra, and they give all respect to him. This is the devotee's natural, compassionate position. They don't expect any self-prestige just because they got a wonderful opportunity to avenge for what all Dhritarashtra has done. They don't even, care even a bit for that. Rather, they protected him. They have given him shelter. They respected him. It is not that, okay, I am giving you shelter, now you are servant in my house. You have tortured us like anything. No, absolutely not. They really offered obeisances and praised him and, addressed him as the eldest uncle and king. Oh my God, you just can't expect such behavior from any ordinary human being or extraordinary human being. Only devotees can exhibit such exalted character. They don't see, they see every action and reactions under the control of the Supreme Personality of God. They don't reason any particular person that because of him it is happened, because of him it is happened. He is like that, he is like that. Fools only will think like that because they're grossly seeing the external activities and the reactions. But a devotee like Yudhishthira knows very clearly everything is under the control of the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Sri Krishna. Without his sanction, not a blade of grass will move. This is a truth. And this is known to Yudhishthira and Vidura like Mahatmas, great devotees. So here, the purpose of Vidura visiting is not for giving instruction to Pandavas or anybody. They don't need any instruction anymore because they've already got instruction from Krishna directly and Bhishma Dev like pure wonderful Mahajans directly. But Vidura came here especially meant for Dhritarashtra because Dhritarashtra was too materialistic to give up. He doesn't even want to die. Prabhupada is very beautifully giving in the purport that, The celebrated English king wanted to order time and tide. But the time and tide refused to obey his order. You see, and the king got killed naturally, right? With the time. So this is the false king in the material world. One is a false king. One cannot be true king. Only Krishna is the true king, because he can control time and tide, everything. Everything is under control of Krishna. Such Krishna can only be controlled by bhakti, pure, unalloyed, loving devotional service. So anybody is existing on the pure, loving devotional service platform, they can understand all these things and how Krishna controls time. And these devotees will not try to control time just because Krishna is controlled by their love and affection. It is only affection is dealing between Krishna and the devotees that survives. They don't look at the time or death personified or anything. But Dhritarashtra, he was too materialistic. And Vidura, as a youngest brother of Dhritarashtra, born of the same father Vyasadeva, he wanted to remind him, you are in a false position. You think you are the king? You are not. You are lower than the beggar on the street. You are actually kept by your enemies, being maintained. And you don't have any shame being maintained by your enemies. You kept poison for them. What if they will keep poison for you? So you don't have any common sense, nor you have any Kshatriya quality now. You have become so low. So he wants to remind his position, false position of the material world, and the fearful happening which had already approached him at the time. That is, he's getting old age, he's not able to see things clearly, his vision is getting, already he had no vision, and he's also blind, both materially and spiritually, what to speak of vision getting lost. He cannot even hear clearly. To that extent, Dhritarashtra has gone very old. And Vidura is the well-wisher of all the living being, and especially Dhritarashtra being his eldest brother and is in a wrong path. He wanted to give him salvation, at least if not, he can engage him in devotion service. So he wanted to be saved from the fearful situation. That is why the fearful situation is approaching him fast, the death. And Vidura is here in order to save this, Dhritarashtra. So, similarly, Vidura was speaking to Maharaja Yudhishthira and all other devotees. He never asked them like this, that you will be dying and be prepared to death, all these things. No, he has not told, because he knew Maharaja Yudhishthira is aware of all kind of fearful situations in life, in this flimsy world, and they know how to tackle this particular situation, being situated or position themselves in the platform of pure loving devotional service. Nothing else can save anybody. That is where he said, Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Iva Kevalam. Only chanting the holy name of the Lord, chanting the holy name of the Lord, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Kale Nasteva, 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 Gadiranyata. There is no other way, no other way, no other way. This fact is known even 5,000 years before to Yudhishthira Maharaj and all those pure devotees like Vidura. So they are fully established in the pure unalloyed loving devotional service platform. So they do not have any discrepancies in their dealings, and they need not be advised to meet death or prepare to die. But Dhritarashtra needed. So let us see what words Vidura is using to Dhritarashtra so that he can at least understand and make a decision to get out of this precarious situation of his life. In the next verse, Vidura is speaking. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse 19. Pratikriyana yasyeha kutaschit karhichit prabho sa esha bhagavan kala sarvesham na samagata pratikriyana yasyeha kutaschit karhichit prabho sa esha bhagavan kala
स एष भगवान् कालः
सर्वेषां न समागता
सर्वेषां न समागतः
प्रतिक्रिया न यस्येह
प्रतिक्रिया न यस्येह
कुतश्चित् कर्हिचित् प्रभो
कुतश्चित् कर्हिचित् प्रभो
स एष भगवान् कालः
स एष भगवान् कालः
सर्वेषां न समागता
सर्वेषां न समागतः
Synonyms: pratikriya, remedial measure.
प्रतिक्रिया remedial measure
Na, there's none.
na there is none
Yasya, of which.
yasya of which
Iha, in this material world.
iha in this material world
Kutaschit, by any means.
kutaschit by any means
Karhichit, or by anyone.
karhichit or by anyone
Prabhu, O my Lord.
Prabhu, oh my Lord,
Sa, that.
so that
Esha, positively.
Isha positively
Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead.
Bhagwan, the personality of Godhead.
Kala, eternal time.
Kala, eternal time.
Sarvesham, of all.
Sarvesham, of all.
Na, of us.
Na, of us.
Samagata, arrived.
Samagata, arrived.
Translation, please repeat after me. This frightful situation cannot be remedied by any person in this material world.
This frightful situation cannot be remedied by any person in this material world.
My Lord.
My Lord.
It's the supreme personality of Godhead as eternal time Kala.
It is the supreme personality of Godhead as eternal time Kala.
That has approached us all.
That has approached us all.
Purport.
Purport. There is no superior power which can check the cruel hands of death. No one wants to die, however acute the source of bodily sufferings may be. Even in the days of so-called scientific advancement of knowledge, there is no remedial measure either for old age or for death. Old age is the notice of the arrival of death, served by cruel time, and no one can refuse to accept either summum calls or the supreme judgment of eternal time. This is explained before Dhritarashtra because he might ask Vidura to find out some remedial measure for the imminent fearful situation, as he had ordered many times before. Before ordering, however, Vidura informed Dhritarashtra that there was no remedial measure by anyone or from any source in this material world. And because there is no such thing in the material world, death is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as it is said by Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 10.34. Death cannot be checked by anyone or from any source within this material world. Hiranyakashipu wanted to be immortal and underwent a severe type of penance by which the whole universe trembled. And Brahma himself approached him to dissuade Hiranyakashipu from such a severe type of penance. Hiranyakashipu asked Brahma to award him the blessings of immortality. But Brahma said that he himself was subject to death, even in the topmost planet. How could he award him the benediction of immortality? So there is death even in the topmost planet of this universe. And what to speak of other planets which are far inferior in quality to Brahma Loka, the residing planet of Brahma. Wherever there is the influence of eternal time, there is this set of tribulations, namely birth, death, old age, and disease, and all of them are invincible.
Haryam Tatsat, very beautiful purport by His Divine Grace by Charunaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So Vidura is telling this frightful situation cannot be remedied by any person in this material world. Very beautiful point here to understand for all those who are materialistic, or all those who think that they can solve problem, or all those who think that they can live happily in this material life, or those who are thinking that they can settle down. Brahma has not yet settled and he cannot settle. Then what to speak of any other creature who is created by Brahma in this material world? He has created the situation here, all the material planets and all the situations and circumstances for all the living entities in 8,400,000 species of different life in different planetary system, not for settling. He has created this to experience that you cannot settle. He's created this to give us experience that you cannot yield happiness in whichever body, in whichever planet, in however long you may try to live. You can neither yield happiness nor you can settle. The happiness and the settlement is one time, permanent, eternal, blissful, only on the platform of pure loving devotional service, where there is no death, no old age, and no disease, no birth. Eternal existence of the living entities in relationship with Krishna and loving, affectionate service rendered to Krishna out of affection. Out of affection. Out of affection. Affection means there is a relationship. You cannot be affectionate to a table. You have to be affectionate to a living entity, and supreme living entity is the qualified personality to offer the affection. Then you will be able to give your affection to all the living entities. So this is the confidential knowledge, and it is to be understood by one and all those who want to surpass death, not so-called scientific advancement of knowledge. They cannot even overcome the old age. What to speak of then, death. In the previous Chaturyuga, Hiranyakashipu, Prabhupada has quoted this Chaturyuga's Hiranyakashipu. In the Guru Maharaj said in the previous Chaturyuga of the Hiranyakashipu, he was so powerful that he lived in the heavenly planet, and 60 miles around him, anybody who is living, there will not be old age and disease. This is guaranteed, and this is by dint of his presence. That powerful. Why not people worship him? That powerful he was. And even he met with the death blow when Sri Narasimhadev did not appear from the pillar, nor was such benediction asked in that previous Chaturyuga Hiranyakashipu. Narasimhadev simply walked into the city of Hiranyakashipu. And that time Hiranyakashipu, he had well-developed missiles and air forces, very strong. Not these so-called nuclear missiles what we have, more powerful than that. And he has deployed the whole air force against Narasimhadev, and Narasimhadev was simply walking into the city of Hiranyakashipu. And Narasimhadev just broken all those missiles and aeroplanes and the whole air force just on the way of walking by waving his hand. So wonderful was that. And he straight away entered into the arena of this Hiranyakashipu and went. There was no fighting he gave. He just picked up Hiranyakashipu, and Narasimhadev went and sat on the throne of Hiranyakashipu and then bifurcated him. So this is in the previous. So that much powerful was Hiranyakashipu, that 60 miles around him, no death and, death is that, no old age and no disease. That was his, power of his penance, tapasya, and power of his potency. And thus he wanted his name be praised and worshipped. So this is very important, that death can never ever be avoided by anybody, even in Brahmaloka, even by Lord Brahma, who has created all other living entities' body and the planetary system for them to live in. Arrival of death is always served by the cruel time. Anything that is created, which means it is under the control of time, because there is a beginning, there will be an end, and that is how time exhibits itself. So death is the way time tells that I am only eternal and not you. So time controls everything. And who is the time? I am Kala, Krishna says. And in this verse also, Vidura is telling the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the translation he said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead as eternal time, Kala. So it is Krishna. Similarly, we are also eternal, but as long as we are considering ourselves with this body, then it is temporary. Body is temporary, we are not. So time is eternal, we are eternal. But if we are conditioned in the state of birth, death, old age, disease, where is the question of eternity? Actually, we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna says, Mamevamse Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Every Sanatana means eternal. Jiva Bhuta means we, the living entities. All these living entities are eternal parts and parcel of mind. That means we are never separated from Krishna. We have forgotten him. We have forgotten him. We rebelled against him. We committed a spiritual criminal offense against Krishna, that we rejected Krishna, but shamelessly accepting all his creations to enjoy. This is the mistake. So we must surrender unto him, beg forgiveness for our mistake. And this Dhritarashtra is shamelessly eating from the hands of killing. So all these living entities here is doing the same thing. They want to kill Krishna and they want to live under the protection of Krishna. How it is possible? Isn't it shameful situation? So only way to surpass the death is not scientific advancement, but science of Krishna. One who knows the science of Krishna has killed the death person. Mrityo mrityum namamyaham. So the secret of killing the death is to be established affectionately in the loving devotional service to Krishna and live amongst the association of devotees. Then this particular eternal time will not check the devotees. Maya will not check the devotees. Death will not check the devotees, because the devotees are not in the bodily platform and they are not material anymore. They are connected to Krishna by their breathing, by their activities, by their speech. Body, mind, words, and deeds are, engaged in the service of Krishna. Where is the death? Absolutely no death. You don't need to worry about, I am in this present body, I have to die. This is knowledge only. But by experience, you will not. Because once you are connected to Krishna on the platform of devotional service, you have certainly surpassed two things. Number one, the death. Number two, the fear. So that is where we want to remain under the shelter of bona fide spiritual master who knows how to engage us in the pure, unalloyed, loving devotional service.
You have to pull.
Yeah.
Not too much. May fall down. Equal? It's equal now.
So that's the purport of these words. Thank you very much. Anybody has any comments, realizations, or questions, please do share with us. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Thank you very much for the association. So we'll assemble back next Monday morning, 7 o'clock sharp, after chanting the holy name of the Lord, to continue this Srimad Bhagavatam, to see what Dhritarashtra is being advised by Vidura, and what course of actions as a subsequent say dialogue between Dhritarashtra and Vidura happens, that it takes. Grandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Paditapan Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Paditapan Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Bhagavat Satsang ki jai.
Jai.
Vishnu Pranam.
Vansakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Jai Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Premanande Hari Hari.